I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is the Dark Hollow Falls Trailhead. There's the information sign over there. Yep, there it is, my little red car. Up that way is Big Meadows, and there's a nice little parking area here. So for today's hike, we're going to go down to this trailhead and go down this way to Dark Hollow Falls, and then continue around in a great big loop up to Fisher's Gap and along the Appalachian Trail this way, all the way around behind Big Meadows, and then loop back. The elevation here is 3,400 feet. Tenth of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 3,330 feet. Here's a trail coming down from the parking lot, and these are the headwaters of Hog Camp Branch. Hog Camp Branch drains into the Rose River, so this is actually the headwaters of the Rose River up here. .5 miles into my hike, I'm down to 3,045 feet, and this is the top of the falls. Now, you used to be able to walk out there, but it's so dangerous, and people have actually been killed, I think, slipping over the top there, because I think it's a 70-foot drop. They put up this fence here to discourage people from going out there now. So, I mean, if it saves a few lives, it's probably worth it. Anyway, from the bottom we can look up when we get down there. So onward and downward. .7 miles into my hike, I'm down to 2,960 feet, and here's the bottom of the falls. Eight-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 2,860 feet. This is pretty much the bottom of the falls right here. The main drop was up there, and then this is the last little bit. There's the trail coming down. And right down there where that bridge is, that's the Rose River Fireroad. We're going to go down there and turn left and start climbing back up towards Skyline Drive this way. Eight-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 2,810 feet. And I'm down on the Rose River Fireroad now. This is the bridge across the Hog Camp branch. That's where I came from up there. And this trail is blazed yellow, which means it's a horse trail. And right here is a hitching post. You can hitch your horses here. This road starts on the eastern side of the mountain down at the bottom that way and comes up the east side and heads up this way all the way to Fisher's Gap, goes over the mountain and down the other side. Now the Park Service has a habit of taking one road and giving it two different names depending on which side of the mountain you're on. I'm on the east side, so this is the Rose River Fireroad. On the west side, the same road is called Redgate Fireroad. So anyway, we're going to head up this way, which is going to take us past a family cemetery up this way. So if the path is clear to the cemetery, I'll go up there and show you that while I'm going past it. One mile into my hike, the elevation here is 2850, and I'm standing approximately in the location of the old Dark Hollow church. Was up there somewhere. Maybe if I came back into wintertime I could, that's my GPS telling me I'm in the location for the church. Now, it was up there somewhere. Somewhere, that's heading up towards the gap. That is somewhere between that bend and this bend down here. And on this side of the road was the old church. So, I'll look through the Shenandoah archives if I can find online. If I can find any pictures of it, I'll post it. But it's shown on the old maps, and it's even on my hiking GPS maps, but I don't see a trace of it right now. So I'm going to continue to climb the mountain back up towards Fisher's Gap. .4 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,940 feet, and up this way is the Cave Cemetery. That's where I came from, up the Fireroad from Dark Hollow Falls. And when we get done with the cemetery, we're going to continue to climb the mountain up to Fisher's Gap this way. But for now, we're going to hang a left and go up here. Boy, the grass is really tall up through here, but if we just kind of stay on the beaten path, hopefully we won't get eaten alive by ticks. So, see if we can get a couple shots up here. So this is a family cemetery. As far as I know, everybody or almost everybody that's buried up here was a member of the Cave family. Now they used to have, I've been up here before, they used to have a sign posted that showed the names of all the people that were buried up here. So we'll see if they still have that when we get up here. I'm up here at the Cave Cemetery plot. There's the information sign I was talking about. I'll get a picture of that. So the extent of the cemetery is over there, between here and that big tree, and then back to where you see the brush. I see cave. Bunch of caves. There's a Foster. Another Foster. Looks like Buraker. Over there, that looks like Burton. So, and I noticed this one right here that says Foster. Elizabeth Foster, that date is 2016, so they still have burials going on up here in this family cemetery. There's a hand-carved wooden marker. It looks like it says Josh Cave. Born 4/16/1915, died 6/14/2000. Yeah, okay, those dates are confirmed with that metal marker down there. 1915 to 2000. Here's one, Thomas Z. Breeden, 1880 to 1963, and I guess that's Effie. Yeah. Effie J. Breeden, 1884 to 1919. There's John C. Cave, private, Virginia Light Artillery, Confederate States of America, 1838 to 1907. I took a still picture of that informational sign. It says, these are the people who are buried here with no head marker before 1940. And there are 37 names on there. And the ones with the asterisks are children. So besides what you see up here with headstones, there's 37, at least 37 more people buried with no headstones. I'm just around the corner from the Cave Cemetery. The road going up to the Cave Cemetery is right around that corner. And I'm standing in the approximate location of where an old homestead was shown on a 1929 map. I'll have to point it out when I do the map talk. That's my GPS telling me I'm in the right spot. I don't know. This is a fairly flat stretch right through here. And here's the road coming down from the gap. And right before you make the turn to go around to the cemetery, right here, this might have been a road going up in through here, like a driveway. I'll have to come back sometime in the winter and bushwhack back in here. So in other words, if this is where the homestead was, then it would put it just slightly higher up on the mountain than the cemetery. I tried to look it up on the online records, but the online records for Shenandoah indicate this tract of land was owned by the Laraloba Mining Company, 400 or 500 acres worth. But that means that's who the park paid for the land. That doesn't say anything about who lived here. So I don't know. Maybe I can come back in the wintertime and bushwhack back up in here and satisfy my own curiosity. Maybe I'll combine that with a little further down looking for that church, Dark Hollow Church. So anyway, we're going to head on up to the gap up this way. It's probably, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 tenths of a mile. .1 miles into my hike. I'm up to Skyline Drive and Fisher's Gap. You can see the elevation here, 3,070. I'm going to walk down here and see if I can see anything over the edge, and then I got to go find the Appalachian Trail. Here's the view from Fisher's Gap, the overlook. It's a little over 3,000 feet elevation here. That's looking to the west down into the Shenandoah Valley. Luray, Virginia, Stanley. It's a little bit hazy today. Okay, well this is the same Fireroad except over here on the west side, and it's starting to head down the side of the mountain right there. And you can see this side's not used nearly as much. What's hilarious is that speed limit sign, 20 miles an hour. Yeah, good luck with that. And I'm looking for the I think this is the Appalachian Trail. I'm gonna go up here and see if I can find a sign or something. I'm pretty sure this is it though. Okay, well it turned out that was the AT. Once you get up on it, you start seeing some white blazing. So the white blaze is reserved for the Appalachian Trail through the park here. So anyway, from here I'm hiking south. It's about a mile back to Big Meadows. Once I get back there, depending on how I feel, I may take a big loop or a little bit shorter one. There's a couple of different ways for me to circle back to my car. So we'll see how I feel when we get over there. But this is what the AT looks like through this stretch right here. 3.3 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,500 feet. Been climbing quite a bit. And right here, I'm at the back side of the Big Meadows Complex. Specifically, I'm behind the campground right now. Maybe you can see that dome tent up there. So the campground's there, and then the lodge is over this way. I'm going to take a right and continue on the Appalachian Trail and just go all the way around the Big Meadows Complex around behind it. Four miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,540, and I'm still on the AT. That's the way I came, and up that way is the amphitheater. I'm still behind the Big Meadows Complex. The amphitheater and the lodge are up there, and I'm going to keep going this way towards along the AT towards the Lewis Spring. Down that way on the Blue Blaze, that takes you down to Lewis Falls, which is also a nice waterfall. But I'm going to stay on the White Blaze, the AT, and continue my loop around the Big Meadows Complex. .9 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,310 feet. Just came off the Appalachian Trail. There it is right there. That's where I came from. And here's where it intersects in with a service road that heads up to Skyline Drive. That's the way I'm going back. But first I'm going to go down here just a short distance and look for the Lewis Spring. There's a spring, and there's at least one pump house down here. Okay, so right up there is where the Appalachian Trail is. Maybe you can see the concrete signpost right there along the AT. And just slightly downhill and over here is the spring. So let's go over and see if there's any flow. There should be, but I don't hear anything. Okay, well here's a spring box, and I definitely hear water. Let me see. There's some water coming out of the overflow, and then right up here is back in there's a pump house. This is kind of medieval looking. Hear that? Okay, and just a little lower down, I just came from up there, just a little lower down is the second pump house right here. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Big Meadows, 1994. And I hiked a big loop around the Big Meadows Complex, including stopping at Dark Hollow Falls and a couple other places. I parked, let's see, right here at Skyline Drive. There's a fairly large parking lot here for Dark Hollow Falls. Park there and get on the trail right here at the trailhead and follow this down to about, around this loop, down to about here. And this is the falls down here in this area. Oh, excuse me, it's this loop right here. The falls. Then on down to the bottom here to the Rose River Fireroad, you'll see a metal bridge that goes across Hog Camp Branch right here. Then I turned left and started climbing the mountain back up towards Fisher's Gap. Now in some of the old maps, there was a church right here in this area. It's too grown up right now to really see anything up through there, so I have to go back in the wintertime sometime and take a look for that. Then it continued on up the Fireroad to here. This is where the Cave Family Cemetery is. The way was clear, so I went on in there and got some shots of that. Then it continued on up to Fisher's Gap. Went over here to the overlook. Got a couple of shots, then backtracked and came around this way along the Appalachian Trail. Then when I got to here, once you get to here, you've got a lot of different ways you can loop back, but I was feeling pretty good, so I went ahead and took the long way around behind the complex, back behind the amphitheater and the lodge, and followed the AT all the way here to the Lewis Spring. Got some shots of that. Then then you come up the Fireroad. I was gonna come up to Skyline Drive and loop back that way, but instead I found a horse trail over this way. And well, this is different than the way it is now, but anyway, you cut over this way and you eventually end up right here at the Big Meadows wayside. Walked across there and then took this little trail right here back over here and then finally back to my car. Ended up being 6.1 miles with an ascent of 1,270 feet. Now, if you don't want that much ascent, when you get to this point right here, you can just cut through the campground like this and come back. And that'll cut mileage, and but more importantly, it'll cut a lot of ascent off, because this is an ascent up to here, and then there's a descent down to here and another ascent. So if you get to here and you decide you're getting tired, you can always loop back through the campground like that. And that was the hike for today. I just realized I forgot to show you this Stony Man 1929 map. This is the one that shows the location of the church. Let's see, this is Skyline Drive coming up through here, and this is Hog Camp Branch. So right about there would be the modern day Dark Hollow Falls trailhead, and then you follow Hog Camp Branch down. The falls are right in here somewhere, and then this is the Rose River Fireroad, and you start climbing back up towards Fisher's Gap, and right there is Dark Hollow Church. See that filled in square with the cross on top? That's the church. And then you continue coming up the Fireroad. Right about there is where the Cave Family Cemetery is. And then right next to it is another homestead indicated right there. Okay, and then it comes on up to Fisher's Gap. You go over the top of the mountain here at the Gap, and then when you go down the west side of the same road, the Park Service has changed it to Redgate Fire Road. But the Redgate Fire Road and then the Rose River Fire Road on this side, all the way down the east side of the mountain, both of those roads are really the same road, and it's part of the old Gordonsville Turnpike from back in the 1850s.